Hey, slash A Buckaroos, how the heck are you? So I got a little bit creative today. The weather isn't necessarily cold out there. It's kind of warm, but we got a lot of big wind, and I don't know. I worked 3 long days, feeling kind of run down. So I was feeling more of I don't know, maybe an early fall cocktail, let's say. So here's what I did here is I've got the Huling Station Trolley Stop Series, aged 9 years, Main Street line. This is at 119.23 proof. It's a straight bourbon whiskey, but it's a high rye bourbon. And let me show you what it's got here. It's 52% corn. You got to be a minimum of 51 to be bourbon. So, I mean, we're just over that line, right? But here's the rye content. Here's the rye content, man. 44% rye. So it's a very, usually anything over 25% is considered a high rye bourbon. But this sucker is at 44% with 4% malted barley. Let me show that to you. But I had an idea. So I had this bourbon barrel aged maple syrup, and I was down to about this much left in the bottle. So I decided to make a simple syrup out of it, right? So I used some raw sugar, equal parts raw sugar to water, and I added that to what was left of that maple syrup. But I dropped in a cinnamon stick. So what I have now is a maple cinnamon simple. So anyway, I've got a drink that probably ingredients wise fits more of an old fashioned type mold, but I didn't want to serve it that way. I wanted to serve it straight up, more like a Manhattan. So what I've got here is, again, I've got 2 ounces of the bourbon, 1 ounce of that maple maple cinnamon simple, and the kicker here is this: the cocoa bitters. So then we added these cocoa bitters to it. So we got maple, cinnamon, chocolate going on. I was trying to come up with some different names. And I will admit to you that I cheated slightly. And I asked an AI app to give me some ideas. And there were several that I liked, but I settled on something. Oh gosh, that's delicious. That, in all honesty, it's not what they came up with, but I wouldn't have came up with it if I hadn't read their idea first. Their idea was, I think it was Maple Kisses and something else. Maple Kisses, and I can't remember the rest of it, but I said, oh, kisses. So then I thought, I got it. Chocolate Kisses and Maple Hugs. So that's what I called it, Chocolate Kisses and Maple Hugs. But I will admit, I wouldn't have came up with that idea if I hadn't got, I like that, but I don't like that part. I'm going to change that. Anyways, sludger. Oh, man, that is gorgeous. Little chocolate maple. Oh, my Lord. But see, that's why I like a high rye bourbon for a cocktail like this, so it doesn't get too sweet. I don't understand the trend of all of a sudden using wheated bourbons for an old fashioned, because wheated bourbons are very sweet anyway. And to add the simple, I just can't make that make sense. But younger palates seem to like that, and I kind of understand that because I like cocktails sweeter when I was younger. You kind of get over that as you get older, but a lot of folks want to use like Buffalo Trace in an old fashioned, and I honestly think that's a terrible choice because you've got a very nondescript wheated bourbon. You want something with some character. If you're not using a rye, which is traditional, you gotta use a traditional bourbon that uses rye as a secondary grain. But you really need to use, or should use, a high rye bourbon because that really gives you that balance you need. Oh, I left out an ingredient, actually. I told you the cocoa bitters. I put in 2 ounces of the, it hit me now, 2 ounces of the whiskey, 1 ounce of the maple cinnamon simple, but I also used 1 ounce of cream de cocoa, cream de cacao, to really emphasize that chocolate. Because it's not a drink I would typically order, right? So I've been trying to really experiment, get out of my comfort zone a little bit as I'm trying to develop cocktails for work. And I will admit that I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle than my coworkers who are a lot younger than I am. So they know what younger folks are drinking. But I'm trying to have my pulse on what else old folks might want. So I keep trying to come up with something different that might work. And I really like this. I think this is a drink that could sell. God, that ain't bad at all, man. That's nice. Now, here's the thing. If you want to serve a cocktail like this, like an old fashioned with a big cube or globe or whatever, I don't have an issue with that. I'm just a guy that likes a straight up cocktail. I don't want that residual ice, right? So I tend to make everything. Every once in a while, you'll see me use the cube, but most of the time, I like a straight up cocktail. So I keep trying to design things that I feel are better served without that additional ice. This is one of them. It clearly isn't a Manhattan because we're not using sweet vermouth or a variation of. I've done variations of a Manhattan using sherry, which I like, or port wine. And that still keeps you in that realm, right? It gives you that sweetness and acidity. But if you're adding a simple syrup, yeah, that takes you more to that old fashioned realm. So I'm not going to call a drink that uses a simple, variation of a Manhattan because it really isn't. But if you go down to the purest form, almost every cocktail, even the old fashioned, is using the Manhattan as a template. And that's kind of what I do when I put cocktails together. I'd like to keep it simple. I think a lot of folks just make things more complicated than they need to be. Keep it simple, man. Oh. Get the right flavors that work together. Man, that's delicious. No, in all honesty, yeah. I mean, it's a drink that's typically a little sweeter than I would drink on the regular. Uh, but as I try to formulate cocktails for work, it's not all about me. I'm thinking, okay, what would other people want to order? So I'm thinking, what flavors work well together? And I'll be honest, there's a lot of stuff I've come up with that just doesn't work. but the thing is, you never know until you try. That's why I keep trying. Okay, let's try this. Okay, now let's try this. And but so I was going to do the maple. I've got the maple cinnamon simple, so I was going to do that. And I thought, well, but what if I added chocolate? So okay, let me add an ounce of the cream de cacao, a little bit of cocoa bitters. Let's see what we got. And I think it's a nice, end of evening dessert cocktail. Would I picture under 30s ordering this? In all honesty, no. But over 50s, yeah, I think over 50s would love this cocktail. And when I go to a lot of cocktail places, I feel like the over 50s are being left out. There's a lot of nouveau cocktails with 100 ingredients for the under 40s. That's why I feel like it's I'm picking up the mantle. I feel like it's my job to develop cocktails for the over 50s because nobody else is doing it, man. Somebody has to. Now, my wife, who has maybe a quarter ounce of vodka in a cocktail with a lot of other things, maybe once or twice a month. Now she's not going to like this. There's still too much alcohol swimming around in this for her to drink. But folks, I do like a cocktail. I think the over 50s would love this as a dessert cocktail. Oh, I can dig it. I can dig it, man. Can you dig it? I went full Warriors there for a second. Anyways, man, this is really good, though. I got to tell you, I don't mind it. It's not a cocktail that I could drink a lot of, I'm going to be honest. But I was curious. So I had the idea. First, I was going with the bourbon and the simple. And I thought, the Creme de Cacao. I got that. Let's see what happens. Because I can always, I've got the simple. We can do just the bourbon and the simple maple and and the thing is the thing. But I was curious how the Creme de Cacao would react to everything else, actually. And it works, I got to be honest with you. And then when you toss that, when you finish it with the cocoa bitters, gives you those aromatics. So you got the maple chocolate. Oh gosh, it's almost like when you were a kid and had a chocolate chip pancake. Are you following me there? You got that chocolate chip pancake. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, took me a while to get to that realization, but that's what it is. Yeah, you because I got the vanilla in there. Yeah, chocolate chip pancake. That's kind of so. This is the adult version of a chocolate, the liquid adult version of a chocolate chip pancake. Anyways, Tom, you're reaching, buddy. You're reaching. I may very well be, but I still don't think I'm wrong though. The adult version of a chocolate chip pancake. You heard it here first. In fact, the name. I liked the name earlier though. Chocolate kisses and maple hugs, but now I'm thinking chocolate chip pancake. Anyways, I digress. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist. Oh man, yeah, I got to be honest with you. This one is really growing on me. The more I drink it, the more I like it. But I will say, so if you like a sweeter cocktail, add more simple. If you like a sweeter cocktail, maybe use a whiskey that's maybe not quite as high rye as this one. But for me, I love this because I got a whiskey that's 44. I got a bourbon that's 44% rye. So I really got that balance. For me, if I used anything else, it'd be way too sweet. So anyway, once again, I'm Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker. There was the man. All around good guy. So this is usually where I shut off the video, but still got a little bit left, so I'm going to keep talking now. I've already done my spiel. We've already done the thing and the thing and the thing. We've already done the thing, man. But I got to be honest with you, I really like this, man. So yeah, I picked up 2 bottles of 2 different brands of bourbon barrel aged maple syrup. My wife and I were in Columbus, Ohio last year for our 30th anniversary. Can you believe there's a woman that's put up with me for almost 31 years? Nobody else can either. Nevertheless. So, but yeah, when I got to the end of the one, and like I said, I had about this much left, and it was starting. You could see it starting to crystallize at the bottom, right? So I said, okay. So I said, let's. So I did equal parts raw sugar, water. I dropped the cinnamon stick in there. So let's do a maple cinnamon simple. And I've used that in a couple different things as an old fashioned. But I got to be honest with you, I really like it this way, served more Manhattan style. Certainly not a Manhattan, but let's say Manhattan style, or as a straight up cocktail. But when I had just the whiskey, I didn't taste it with just the whiskey and the simple. But I thought I just felt like it needed something else. I remembered I had that cream de cacao down there. So okay, let's put an ounce of that in there. Then we'll top it with those cocoa bitters just to add to the aromatics. And I got to be honest, I really think it works, man. If a nice, fireplace or dessert cocktail. What would you pair that with? Huh, let me think about that for a second. I would, on one extreme, I think you could pair it with a chocolate cake. But on the other side of that, I think you could also pair it with a creme brulee for balance, right? You got that vanilla and then chocolate going on. Or just some simple vanilla bean ice cream with some, chocolate syrup. Put a little Bosco on top. You got a thing. And not everything has to be fancy, man. A good vanilla bean ice cream, some Bosco, some whipped cream, and there you go. You got a thing. Anyways, I'm going to give you that spiel one last time and really mean it. I'm going to mean it this time, man. I'm Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor wisdom man, all around good guy, Hey, thanks for tuning in. And wow, I really like this, though.